The thief comes only to kill and steal.
The thief comes only to kill and steal.
The thief comes only to kill and steal and destroy.
Movie Goldberg. She's just your average, hard-working burglar.
The thief comes only to kill and steal.
The thief comes only to kill and steal.
The thief comes only to kill and steal and destroy. The thief comes only to kill and steal and destroy.
Burglar? Burgularum.
Let me get this straight. You want me to steal?
Greetings, I'm Bezel, and this is the Bus Bar. Well, burglar is on tap as our next word that rhymes with bus bar. The word burglar is one of many words for a person who steals, cheats, or otherwise victimizes people. Other words that can be used for this are words like robber, thief, housebreaker, pilferer, porch climber, swindler, chiseler, bandit, and plunderer, just to name a few. Now, no one likes a thief, especially if you yourself have been victimized by one of them. Now, over the years, I've had my wallet stolen, my car broken into, and my car stolen. And each time, the feeling of being violated is just as strong and just as visceral. Although the word burglar is not to be found in the Bible, we do find thief quite often. Sometimes it's used to describe a person who steals another person's property. Sometimes it is found in a list of sinful activities and is even used to describe Judas, who betrayed Jesus. Now, one particular use of the word is very interesting in that it is used as a metaphor to describe the suddenness and the unexpectedness of the return of Jesus Christ in glory at the end of this present age. Passages like 1 Thessalonians 5:2 and 2 Peter 3:10. But what I want to focus on is the word as it's used by Jesus in John chapter 10, beginning at verse 1 and following. We read there, "Truly, truly, I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs in by another way, that man is a thief and a robber." Now, to better understand these words, we need to go back and review what took place in chapter 9 of the Gospel of John. Here we have the story of Jesus healing a man who was born blind from birth. And he's being healed in a very unusual way. Let me read it to you. When he had said this, he spat on the ground and made clay of the spittle and applied the clay to his eyes. And he said to him, "Go wash in the pool of Siloam," which is translated sent. So he went away and washed, and he came back seeing. Now the man returns and is then interrogated by the Pharisees, who refuse to believe that he was indeed healed by Jesus. They even go and ask his parents to confirm the fact that he was indeed blind from birth. Rather than praising God that the man can see, they are incensed that he was healed on the Sabbath by Jesus. They ask him again, "How did he open your eyes?" Amazingly, he answered them this. This man who was blind from birth and now sees, he says to these Pharisees, these leaders of the Jewish religion, "I've told you already, and you will not listen. Do you want to hear it again? Do you want to also become his disciples?" Well, you know what happened. The Pharisees threw him out and his family out of the synagogue. Then Jesus said in the presence of the Pharisees, "For judgment I came into this world, that those who do not see may see, and those who see may become blind." The Pharisees near him said to him, "Are we also blind?" And Jesus said to them, "If you were blind, you would have no guilt. But now that you say, 'We see,' your guilt remains." You see, it's in this context that Jesus gives this teaching in chapter 10 of John. "He who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs in another way, that man is a thief and a robber." Jesus is saying that he only is the true shepherd of God's people. In other words, he is the long-awaited Messiah. The Pharisees, you see, can be hearkened back to the words of Ezekiel 34. And in essence, this is what Jesus is saying to them. "Woe to you, shepherds of Israel, who only take care of yourselves. Should not shepherds take care of the flock? You eat the curds, clothe yourselves with the wool, and slaughter the choice animals, but you do not take care of the flock. Now, back to chapter 10. Jesus goes on. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him, the gatekeeper, or the under-shepherd, the guy that's there all night long to make sure the sheep don't get stolen. The sheep hear his voice, that is, the shepherd's voice. He calls them his own sheep by name and leads them out. You see, in essence, and I don't think this at all was lost on the Pharisees, which just made them all the more infuriated, Jesus is declaring that he is the good shepherd spoken of in Ezekiel 34. Let me continue in Ezekiel 34. We read there, I myself will search for my sheep and look after them. As a shepherd looks after his scattered flock when he is with them, so I will look after my sheep. By the way, folks, this is Yahweh saying this through the prophet. I will rescue them from all the places where they were scattered on the day of clouds and darkness. I will bring them out from the nations and gather them from the countries. I will bring them into their own land. I will pasture them on the mountains of Israel, in the ravines, and in all the settlements in the land. I will bind up the injured and strengthen the weak, but the sleek and the strong I will destroy. I will shepherd the flock with justice. And this is even more incredible. Even more than being the true shepherd of God's people, Jesus is also the door of the sheepfold. He says, I am the door of the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and robbers. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved and go in and out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they might have life and have it abundantly. And then he says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. Now, I want you to read through both chapters 9 and 10 of the Gospel of John and see how they coalesce together. Now, there's a few things I want you to notice as we finish up. In verse 16 of chapter 10, Jesus points to an eternal covenant that he has with the Father in saving not only believing Jews, but also Gentiles that have been chosen by the Father to be saved. And in verse 16, I have other sheep that are not of this fold. I must bring them in also, and they will listen to my voice. If you're a Christian, when Jesus says, I am the good shepherd, I know my own, and my own know me, well, Jesus knows who are his. He knows that you are one of his sheep. He knows you by name. Notice that Jesus, the Good Shepherd, is the one foretold by Moses and the prophets. Jesus is at the center of not only the New Testament, but the Old Testament as well. Jesus, the Good Shepherd, has come. He has lived a perfect life in your place. He has died as a substitute, your substitute, taking your sin upon himself. And he has been raised as a glorified man, united to his eternally divine nature, now ascended into heaven, seated at God the Father's right hand, and by his Spirit, he is always with you, praying for you and protecting you as you live out your pilgrimage on this earth. Friends, if you're not yet a Christian, well, you can't say this is true about you. But I implore you, I beg you, go and read the Gospels again. Read the Gospel of John. Find out about this Jesus and what he has done in time and space history for sinners such as me and you. Trust in him today, and you will eternally be able to glorify God and enjoy him forever.